Hey everybody, Thomas Vanderkin here from the Vanderkin Burst. Super excited to have Tim Hernquist here from Jabra. We're going to talk a little bit about the new hybrid work life. So, how are you doing, Tim? I heard you've just been traveling.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for inviting me here. Yeah, I was in traveling. I was over at ISE Integrated Systems Europe in Barcelona, which was nice to travel again internationally. And then I had a chance to go over to Copenhagen to visit our headquarters. So I'm fresh back from seeing where
All
all the
right,
toys are made.
great. Well, let's start off and tell us a little bit about yourself and about Jabra, and just kind of hit some highlights you want to kind of introduce our discussion today.
Okay, cool. My name, as you said, is Tim Hernquist. I'm the Director of Product and Business Management for Jabra here in North America. Essentially, what that means is that I am looking after the portfolio for our enterprise channels. That means we're trying to make sure that the products that Jabra makes are well suited for our customers here in North America, both in terms of the features and stuff that are more relevant here, but also make sure we have the right stuff for all of our channel partners and inventory, etc., so that people are successful in their businesses. And I've always been a product guy, so I kind of get to do some of the fun product things at Jabra. I get to do some of these kind of talks. I get to play with all the toys. Um, and back in I want to say 2014, Jabra announced the first Evolve headset, which is the first headset that we thought of in terms of this potential work from home scenario. And really, our portfolio has really grown from there to talk about all kinds of different products that enable hybrid working. And we launched an entire portfolio right in the summer of 2020, so it was well timed.
Yeah.
I think we have some great opportunities to discuss what it means to work in a hybrid fashion these days, and hopefully some gadgets and toys to
Yeah.
help you figure it out.
Well, your team was very generous. They sent me a Panicast 20, which I'm using now for my video. I've got a Jabra Speak 750 I'm using for the audio. Hopefully it sounds good. We got some other products back here, the Evolve 2s. I did some unboxing videos. We've gotten thousands of views on LinkedIn and YouTube of my unboxing, so I really appreciate that. And I think people appreciated seeing the products in action. I was even able to go into the Lenovo office and try out some of the devices there. So that's been was
Cool.
interesting. But so if anybody's as you join in live, feel free to leave a comment. Any questions you want to have asked, we'll hit them in the comments. So put those in there, and we'll respond. But we do have some ahead of time. So just being in the office, like I mentioned a couple weeks ago, brought the devices in there. Where are we going in the next year, the next two in the corporate workspace?
Yeah, that's a question we get a lot, and actually, it's something we've been talking about for a long time. So sometimes I need to remind myself that it's still happening the way it is. So we had kind of the traditional work in the office scenario, and then a few people were actually working from remote. Actually, a lot of Jabra employees in North America are actually remote, and most of the time I have to ask my colleagues where they actually live because we meet each other mostly on Teams. They had the office workers that had a great opportunity to kind of join a group, be part of a culture, collaborate, and those workspaces before the pandemic were really hubs of activity, and oftentimes the HQs were like a hub, and then there were only remote offices around, and it was very much a work from the office culture back then. When we
Yep.
went into the pandemic, we all went over to remote, which enabled all kinds of great things like free thinking and independent thinking and concentration ability because you didn't have all those distractions around. But you did start to lose a little bit of that culture, the ability to chat and have fun with your friends at work as well. So I think as we come out of the pandemic and start to think about what the new world looks like, it will be a hybrid work scenario, and that means trying to blend the goods and the bads as best you can between remote and working directly from the office. So can we come into the office in a common time frame once or twice a week to make sure we get that team feeling together, make sure we see each other in person, maybe have some water cooler discussions, and then also go back to the home office and put your head down and get some work done be more productive. So I think, I don't have a perfect future crystal ball or anything like that, but I think this hybrid ways of working, this kind of blended between working at your home and working at your office, and potentially even a third place, as you travel, as you go to see customers, etc. Those are the important things. Can we enable people and enable workers to be the most productive and have like a really enjoyable ways of working when every day might be a little bit different. So I think
Yeah.
that's here to stay.
Yeah. Well, we've certainly seen in the news. Apple, I know recently was like back in the office 2 days, then we're gonna do 3 days, and actually no, let's COVID's back again, so we're gonna go now change a plan. So I think we're gonna be in this.
Yeah.
Everybody wants that collaborative, X factor that you get by being together and having those conversations. But we've also all bought a dog and we've all done these other things in our personal lives that we've kind of gotten used to working from home. But even more importantly for me, I built this incredible home office. I've got a 27-inch monitor. I got my Jabra Speak 20. I mean my 20 camera HD. I've got this. I got a great setup here. I don't want to step backwards when I go into the office and have a, you
Yeah.
know, how 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 do how do employers manage the expectations now for what an office looks like?
Yeah. I think as those are all excellent points. I think what we've learned, and we've done a couple of studies to dig into this over time, and we published a big study right at the end of 2021 that kind of talked about what we're seeing in the marketplace with our key customers here, also in North America. And there are two parts to it. There's one, if I'm working from home, I need to have the technology that allows me to do that in a good way. When we're audio people first at Jabra. We're getting into the camera market, so we're learning the camera part too. We're becoming quite good in that area too. But we're audio people at first, and you think about the soundscape at the office compared to the soundscape at home. It's completely different ball of wax. So at the office, you've got this constant humdrum. Maybe you even have some white noise machines going on to cover up conversations. And it's hard to concentrate there. So we were building headsets that were covering your ears and blocking out background noise so that you could concentrate and collaborate in the best fashion. When you go home, you don't need to cover your ears as much anymore. So you think about what other types of technologies that might be good. Like you're talking about the Speak 750 speakerphone. The speakerphones have almost gained a new life in the hybrid world
Yeah.
because when you're at home, you don't necessarily worry about someone overhearing your conversation because you're in your home office, and your kids are probably at school. So, having that kind of audible speakerphone is probably perfectly fine. And when you're not on the call, you can listen to some music, in it. So I
Right.
think one of the challenges that employers have as we go into this hybrid ways of working is how do we make sure that the people, when they're at home, they have the best technology to be productive, and when they come into the office, is that ready for them to be in the office as well? Right now, a lot of offices are actually wrong spaces. When you go back to some offices, even our office in Lowell that you were at, you saw there's big kind of cube farms there, and that's the way we worked before the pandemic. Now it's hard to be closer to each other. You want to have a little bit more space, and also people are not going to command those spaces every day, all day. So you need to be a little bit more flexible. You need to have more meeting spaces. You need more collaborative spaces and less desk spaces. And so these are big challenges for enterprises, and I think that's something that they're working on now. A lot of them don't have a plan. We know out of this hybrid ways of working study that only about 10 or 11% of companies have actually got a plan and they started piloting new ways to set up their offices. The rest of the people, there's a few that are dabbling in thinking about how to do it, but the vast majority still haven't really got a great plan. And so, thinking about these types of devices, thinking about devices that are good for people who work in multiple different places is important, but also thinking about what do the spaces do for these people when they come into the office.
Mm.
It's a multifaceted problem, but it's a really interesting one.
Yeah. Well, to that point, Julian's on, and he just left a comment, so I'll read this to you and see what your thoughts are. He said, people don't want the traditional office life, especially if you can work from the beach. However, people love events and reasons to gather. There's got to be more incentive for coming into the office.
Yeah, I totally believe that. I think one of the things that we've noticed is that when you're working from home, productivity went up. And that's because, you're always at home and you're always probably in front of your work. So when you have high productivity and you're working from home, you do tend to get stuck in those heavy workloads. And I think enterprises need to think about what does a workload look like for a hybrid ways of working. It can't be the assumption that everyone is going to be working all the time, and it can't be the assumption that everyone's going to buy a house at the beach and maybe take a call always there. It needs to be an interesting balance. It's going to be hard to figure that out. But I totally agree with Julian on that one.
Yeah.
We need to have that team feeling, but you also need to be able to concentrate and get some work done at the same time.
Yeah, Julian, thanks for the comment. Keep them coming, anybody else who's listening. So I did go to that report you mentioned before the call, and I pulled out a couple slides I thought was interesting, so I'll bring those up periodically during our discussion. But this one was in the future, I want to be able to work from wherever I am, not just the home office. And what I thought was interesting here is that pretty much across all the generations, everybody had this similar view of that question. They want flexibility.
They want flexibility. Yeah. They want flexibility, and they also want that flexibility to suit their lifestyle. Sometimes we talk about here at Jabra something called asynchronous communication. So these people definitely want some flexibility, and that flexibility includes not having to always be on and always respond to tasks or needs from the business at the same time. At the same time, when they do their work, that work needs to be safe for them, and safety can be thought about in a couple of different ways. So if I'm working from home, I want to make sure that I'm not like stuck on my desk all the time because it's tiring. It's tiring to be there in front of your desk all the time. And secondly, if you're not using the best technology, so if you're not set up well at home and you don't have a good camera and you don't have good speakers, you're not going to be able to collaborate as well with your colleagues or your customers. And your customers won't be able to collaborate or concentrate as well with you. And so that's difficult for people. And the more trouble you have with these conversations, like you using the Speak 750 and also the camera, I can see you well. You look well. You sound good. So it's easy for me to talk to you. But if we didn't have that scenario, if we had like an old camera or something like that, we wouldn't have that same kind of rapport. So creating that team feeling and allowing employees to have that flexibility because they have good technology at home, that is kind of like I think the best idea.
Well, let's take another question from our report here. It said the top 5 in-office spaces desired by employees. Sound protected, quiet space to focus, number 1. Meeting rooms equipped with video conferencing and technology. So that's what I noticed. I went in the office a couple weeks ago, as I mentioned. First thing I did was look for a place where I could set up camp. And then I had to have a meeting, and I didn't want to. I'm used to this kind of open environment, so I had to go find a room and have a conference call. And I wanted the video that's as good as I have at home, and I wanted the audio that's as good as I have at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of thinking going on what the office should look like. Work is no longer a place you go. I mean, it's kind of a cliche now. A lot of people say that work is no longer a place that you go. It's about making work things happen wherever you are. And if you happen to be in the office, you're not going to be sitting at a desk anymore. The world has changed into Teams meetings or Zoom meetings. There's like over 600% increase in the amount of Teams meetings that are happening these days after the pandemic, and those meetings are also 10 minutes longer than they were before. So we're having a lot of meetings, and so you don't want to get stuck in the same place all the time having those meetings. You want to be able to be flexible and move around. And then when you go to those places, they need to be comfortable so you can concentrate on the call itself. So I agree with you. You have to find a quiet place. And when you're in that quiet place, the technology needs to enable you to have a great call. So you need to have a good video and you have good audio. And you need to be able to show up in the call in a way that is showing that you're truly participating. We talk a lot about that at Jabra now with our cameras around meeting equity. We think about the human form, the shape that it looks like. And when I'm on the call with you using the Panicast 20, you can see me really well because it's got light optimization built into it. It's got a frame, normalization. So wherever I move, I'm always going to be in the middle, so you see me. Yeah, yours is working too. Those those are subtle but important things. I always talk about, if I'm in a 4-hour business review call and I'm stuck at my desk and I want to lean to this side, I want the camera to still look at me. If I want to lean to this side, the camera's going to focus in on me a little bit, so I make sure that I can look like I'm paying attention.
Yep.
And actually take part in the meeting. The more present, the more human I look, the better I show up in the team, in the team's call.
Nice. So I come from an IT background.
Okay.
There's an explosion of devices is what you're talking about then, because we used to sit down, have a desk, we'd all go in, it'd be probably a desktop or a laptop and maybe a monitor and headphones that plugged in. Now you're talking about a whole suite of devices at home, a whole suite of devices in the office,
Yeah.
cameras, HD cameras. Like, how does an IT staff manage that many
Yeah.
devices? It's like there got to be 2-3 times as many devices as there was before the pandemic.
Yep. There's a couple of things to think about in that one. One for our cameras, I think is really interesting that a lot of people may not know, is that for Panicast 20, for example, the camera that you're using, we do all of the video processing on the device itself, which means we're not asking the laptop to provide any sort of graphic resources at all to creating good video. The other thing that processor allows is it allows all of the video processing to happen in the camera, which means we're not going to send any of the raw data from the video into the cloud or anything like that for an IT manager to manage. You don't have to have a robust bandwidth. You don't have to have fancy laptops. So that's the first thing I like about the camera, is that you can manage along with maybe middle of the road laptops, or even get a longer lifetime out of a laptop, because the camera is allowing your employees to have great video without using any resources from the laptop. And because we're keeping all of the data in the camera, there's really no security issues. We don't send any data anywhere, so you don't have to worry about sort of hacking or anything. That it stays in the camera. That is really, I think, a growing benefit for the camera. A lot of enterprises we talk to these days are happy because they can ramp up the security software on their laptops and still allow their employees to have great video, because this camera is not asking the laptop for much. So that's number one. I like IT managers like that one a lot. The second one is around device management. So one thing you do get with Jabra is a device management platform through Jabra Direct and Express that's free of charge. So we're not asking people to pay for those. Jabra Direct is the client that sits on the personal laptop, so allow users to update firmware if they want, or change settings as they wish. Jabra Express is our cloud-based platform that allows IT managers to kind of manage fleets of devices, whether it's audio or video. But you don't get just audio or video settings changes or firmware updates from those. We also get a lot of data and insights. So we've built in sensors in many of the devices that we have to report insights into Jabra Express dashboards.
Really?
One example is around the headset I'm wearing, Engage 50. It has gyroscope sensors, it has background noise sensors, and that data is flowing into Jabra Express. So someone who's looking at a very crowded office can say, "Ooh, that's the hot spot of the office where there's a lot of noise," etc. It allows you to make decisions. On the camera side, we're sending data into the dashboard, for example, from our Panicast 50 conference room camera, around how many people are in rooms, when rooms are being used, because we are counting the people using artificial intelligence. That allows you to make decisions, number one, on how, as you reorganize your new office, how do you want to set it up properly? Do we have enough small and medium rooms? Or is one room being capitalized over the others? What about that room that's interesting that the employees are using, and why aren't they using the other rooms? It helps you kind of think about your office space. But also, now that people count information is being leveraged by Jabra, and Microsoft through like an MTR device, which is really interesting. That people count information can be sent to a Teams Rooms panel, a scheduling panel outside the room. So if let's say you and I are invited to a meeting for 6 people, and we get to the meeting a little bit late because we were just going to grab that coffee before we went there, and we see on the scheduling panel outside of the room that the room is full already with 6 people. You and I can press the button on the panel and have the meeting open in a different room, so you and I can continue with the meeting and not interrupt people. So there's
Wow.
there's a lot of stuff going on our dashboard platforms. It starts with understanding how many devices you have, understanding what firmware they're on, being able to upgrade or downgrade firmware as needed, troubleshoot problems, get in touch with Jabra support to make sure, if you have an issue with any of your devices, you can tell them all the information because you have that on that dashboard. And then, the nice bit on the top is all of these insights we're driving from various devices into the platform.
Yeah, I don't have the admin console, but I do have the
Yeah.
this is my screen with the 2 devices that I have. It's really simple to use. It keeps my devices up to date. It's been a real pleasure to work with this
Yeah.
on my local device, but I can't imagine how good the admin console is for tracking the kind of things you're just talking about. But that seems, we're sure this is all secure. This isn't something we have to think about.
Yeah, it is secure. Jabra as a company and Express as a platform is SOC 2 compliant. We provide the certificates to everyone who needs to talk about those sorts of things. But also in the admin portal itself, you can add a password at every step of the way if you want to. You can really go crazy. And you also can set up alerts that go back to IT. So if you notice something or if any sort of action is triggered, a notification can go back to the office. So to the IT manager. So yeah, we do independent auditing and we allow customers to ramp it up as much as possible. The other thing that's interesting is, to kind of give you more feeling of security is we are integrating with many other device management platforms, including AudioCodes and ServiceNow. So if a company is using these kind of big ERP programs and they want to manage their IT devices as well as their headsets and video cameras, they can do that through integrations that we've already created with those companies. So there's a lot of options in terms of firmware management, device management, and insights through Jabra.
Did get another comment here. Looks like devices need to be able to recognize, adapt, and communicate. It's the new wave. So would you say that Jabra is on that wave? Do you agree with Julian on that one?
Yeah. There is room for growth. Totally. I totally agree with that. I think one of the examples that I like to talk about these days is around hybrid working, right? So you're going to be working from home and then you're going to come into the office. We have behind me right there, Jabra Panicast 50. It's a conference room video bar that at the moment is leading the market in terms of technology that enables spaces to have adaptability and future, a future ready scenario for enterprises. And what does that mean exactly? So I'm in the office and I'm going to connect with you on a Teams call. And when I'm in the office and I'm using Panicast 50, I'm with 3 other people. We're around the table. And what the camera is doing with a 3-camera array, it is picking us all up. And the cameras are placed in such a way that we look like normal human beings. As soon as there's a fisheye effect on people in the room, you who's sitting at home think, wow, that picture's weird. Even if your brain doesn't tell you it feels weird,
Okay.
your biology is saying that, the image is not correct. So it's already uncomfortable. It's already leading to digital fatigue. And now with Microsoft's boundary pushing change in what they're doing with Front Row in Microsoft Teams, and laying out this kind of team format where you have chat and participants and notifications coming up, so you can really interact with a meeting, whether you're at home or in the room, is really good. What we bring to that scenario is what we're calling dynamic composition. So it grabs each of us around the table and puts us in our own boxes. So the four of us in this meeting have equal real estate. What that means is that you and I, even though I might be the furthest away from the camera, you and I will appear on the team screen the same size, which means you and I have meeting equity. That means we can converse equally with each other. And even though I might be furthest away from the camera, I have an equal footing in the debate of the meeting. And that is really important. And as we go more, that's important. So that is where we are today. As we go forward in terms of future flexibility and adaptability, because we've built in such great processes in this camera and we're working closely with Microsoft, there will be more features that we're going to bring into the camera that will further enhance this experience and make it better. I think it's a good long-term play because we've already had one major firmware update for our camera that brings a lot of new enhanced experiences. In June, we're planning to roll out dynamic composition for all the cameras. And as we go forward, we'll continue that kind of experiences roadmap update with firmware changes.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed when I unboxed your Panacast 20. It had 180-degree view, and I thought it was just going to have a fisheye camera, but it has three separate cameras, and so it captures the room with three cameras instead of one fisheye camera.
Exactly, and what those three cameras are doing, they're doing live video stitching in real time, which means those three lenses are being stitched together to create the 180-degree field of view, and then we use artificial intelligence to kind of narrow the field of view to make sure we're cutting out any unused space that's not used by people. But the beauty of that little stitching is that those cameras, I mean, the engineers are like crazy smart, and they've created a way to have that video stitched in real time, but also have each of those lenses work together to make sure the human form is preserved. And that is mainly because we want to make sure that vision, that kind of almost like biology vision of the people we talk to, they need to look like humans. If they have kind of a morphed or cone head shaped look, it really drives up that digital fatigue that you're having, that we've felt a lot over the pandemic. If we can remove that kind of biological feeling that this meeting is not equal, then meetings will get better and probably shorter and more impactful and more productive. That's the whole goal. Yeah.
Let's go back to my chart here a second and see what other. So work from home concerns. This one's honest, and I'm glad you put this in the that I'd prefer to work from home, but I'm concerned my career will suffer long term. Any thoughts about that? It's more psychological than even a Jabra kind of question, but any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it is. It's two factors. I think that's going to drive the hybrid. It's going to drive the hybrid ways of working. So you will want to go in the office. You will want to get together with your friends that you work with and talk to them, in a much more informal way as well. But I think it's also about feeling like you're at equal footing in terms of the technology. So right now, we know that many of the employees who are working from home have not received devices from their employers that enable them to have a great work from home experience. A lot of people are working on their couch in their living room or at the dining room table still, after 2.5 years of pandemic. And so, first of all, you're disadvantaged because you don't have the great tools. And secondly, you're not in the office. So I think, coming into the office enables you to meet with your colleagues, be productive in a meeting scenario, but also talk to your IT guy and say, hey, look, my life would be a lot better if I got, a speakerphone for home, because I think the people I'm working with or the colleagues I have, they'd hear me better. The other thing we know through our work with contact centers and customer service agents is that even though there's more and more digital tools to help you interact with a company that you bought a product or service from, when you have a problem, the number one thing that you still do is call them, right? And so I think that chart also shows that people still talk to each other. And so it's the quality of the conversation. The quality of conversation can happen in the office really, really well. But if you're not at home, that quality of the conversation needs to be good. That means you need to have a great headset that people can hear you on. If you're calling a customer service agent, you want to make sure you're hearing what they're saying and not what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
Background noise. That's, if the dog's barking while you're at home, your boss might not like that. If
Yeah.
a headset like Engage 50 that can reduce up to 36 decibels of your background noise and really focus a microphone right on your mouth, your dog can bark all day long. My kids can do piano lessons all day long if they want, and my boss will never notice. He'll think I'm focused and honed in right on work, and so that puts me in a better position for future promotions, etc.
Yeah. I tested that out on the Evolve 75 here. It has the boom option too, right? And it
Yeah,
the boom down and the noise canceling. I think it's Teams certified even, which is really difficult to get. So it sounded
exactly.
amazing in a really crowded space with that.
We do demos of that in coffee shops a lot because you can sit in a coffee shop, pull the boom arm down, and have a meeting, and people can see around. What's going on. There's all these people ordering coffee
Yeah.
and coffee grinding, whatever, and you don't hear any of it. And then if you're done with your call, you just put the boom arm up. It disappears, and it doesn't look like you're working anymore. You can just enjoy your coffee.
Yeah.
I really like as well. It has a button on the front. You should try it. It's called a hear-through button. And what that does is it basically uses the outside microphones of your ear cups to channel the sound around you into your ears. So let's say you're in a call and you don't want to stop the call, but you do want to order a coffee. So you go on mute, press the hear through button, and you can talk to the barista, order your coffee, and interact with her without taking him, or without taking off your headset. And then once you're done, you hit the hear through button again. It goes to active noise canceling. All of that hustle and bustle around you goes away. Put your boom arm down and continue your meeting. It's quite a cool headset for hybrid working from that point of view.
We had a comment from YouTube from Angel or Angel. What about the ethics of companies not being willing to provide devices?
Yeah. Can't say I'm an ethics expert. What I do know, what I can say is that, a lot of employees, nearly half of the employees we surveyed, say that they do lack essential products and services to be able to work properly from home. And what we like to say to that is that, either the IT department should think about it, which we believe. We talk to a lot of IT departments about enabling their employees. But if you are not getting something from your company, if you were to choose a device on your own and you felt like you should buy it yourself, there are some key things you need to think about in terms of getting the right headset to be successful from working from home. One of those is a certified device. That means Jabra, we spend a lot of time talking to Microsoft and Zoom and Google and Tencent and all kinds of UC platforms to make sure our devices comply with their United Communications platforms. That means the call controls, the voice, the microphone, those are all working well with those platforms so that when you join a call, it's going to work. The other thing is call controls, making sure you can mute and unmute easily during a call. And then background noise. It's noise cancellation, either passive or active noise cancellation. Passive cancellation is when you've got cushions on your ears that basically block out the noise for you in your environment so that you can concentrate on what's going on and you can pay attention to the people you're talking to. And then active noise canceling, which is, using the microphones to kind of block out the noise around you even further. So if you really need to concentrate. The magic happens then with these microphones. Some of these microphones have multiple microphones built into them, three microphones on the outside to listen to the way around me, and one microphone focusing on my voice, so that the algorithms that we use to kind of balance what's important and what's not important in the call can be done. And those you're going to get with enterprise-grade professional headsets. And that's what I would recommend if you're going to use it as a work device at home. That's what a lot of IT guys think about in terms of certification, making sure that it works with platforms, and then making sure that the tools that we offer that you're using in your workday are set up for work. It's really important.
Yeah. No, I thought about that a lot during the pandemic, right? A lot of what I did with Lenovo during those times was help get Chromebooks into students' hands, and a lot of students who were behind already um, really were left behind during the pandemic, and it was motivational to me to get how technology can really there can be a digital divide, but it can also bring people, can also bring people up. So I really worked hard to try to get devices into students' hands. So I think same way in the workplace that if you don't have the right tools, you can get left behind, and that is
Yeah.
you can be disadvantaged to your coworkers and people around you or other companies around you. So um, sometimes technology is fun and I like playing with it, but it's serious sometimes too. People's lives are impacted, so we need to make sure that if we can encourage companies, encourage people to get the right tools to do their job successfully without adding any additional undue fatigue or stress to already difficult lives we're all going through.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if you're going to invest in something, you want it to last a while too. You can't buy just something that's cheap. I would say, we put a lot of effort into the materials we use for our headsets. I think we talked about Chromebooks as well, and making sure that our headsets are working with Chromebooks, because it's a nice thing to go together. If you've been given a Chromebook and you're at school, it's pretty exciting. My kids got Chromebooks, and so they're excited about just having one. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
First of all, but they have to still do homework and schoolwork. And it's amazing the power of the focus. If you plug in a headset and put it on their ears, they focus in on what's happening on their Chromebook better than what's going on around them. Those are a powerful combination.
Yep. I have 4 kids, so headsets were been a critical part of my life since they were very young.
Yes.
um, so one more question I want to cover, and then we're gonna wrap up with a final question I have for you about new products. So this last one that I pulled out here was how ready are organizations for this new hybrid world that's coming for us? So the C-suite thinks they're very well prepared. Upper management thinks they're pretty well prepared, and employees think very few of them think they're actually
Yeah.
very well prepared. So there's a little gap there between where C-suite thinks they are and where employees think they are for this hybrid
Yeah.
work life.
Yeah. In general, I would say um, companies do, in general, lack the vision of what the office should look like when they're coming back into the office. Um, and they do also lack the vision of what it means to be hybrid. How can I be most productive at the office and as well at home? So the lack that vision is lacking, and I think the vision will help them. They will get the vision if they start doing a couple of things like talking to their employees about how much flexibility their employees need, what kind of policy should be put in place. How many days should I come in? Do I agree with that? Is everybody happy with 1 or 2 days a week, or
Mhm.
should it be more or less? And rather than being able to see people and understand how much time they're working, but how much is their output? How much is their productivity? Are they getting work done? Are they happy when they're doing work? Those are some areas where I think will help their vision come in and from the C-suite point of view. In terms of the spaces where people work, it's about having an adaptable architecture. So, if you come into the office, will I have enough meeting rooms to actually have a meeting? Because that's why I came in now. And when I go home, will I be able to have the material? Will I have the setup at home that I need to be successful? A lot of the technology we build is supposed to be versatile and intelligent, like we talked about before. So, is every interaction I'm having now in the hybrid world video enabled? Can I take a camera with me around to wherever I am and be on camera for those interactions? I think I need to be flexible and have a device that I can carry with me that gives a great video quality so that I can have a quality video interaction with my customer, with my employees, or with my team members. Yeah, and then I think, and also preparing, it's about making people are safe. So, is my data safe? If I'm working from home, Is my data safe when I'm transmitting through a VPN? Do we have enough cybersecurity protocols going on in our company now? Because we know phishing and cyber attacks have exploded since we've been working from home because that walled garden protection is no longer there. I think probably for Jabra, the most exciting part is about helping people move beyond digital fatigue. How can I have great devices that make working in a hybrid way, either from home or the office or in a third place, a joy? Because I can hear people, they can see me, I can see them. Those meetings become really good when I've got the right equipment. So I think all those factors, creating the right vision, adapting your spaces, making sure people are safe and secure, and then working to make people more productive through reducing virtual fatigue. I think those are important factors in what's going on here in the chart.
Yeah, I I, I made it a commitment kind of early on during the pandemic to be on camera most of the time. I'm in sales, right? So it's been kind of part of my brand or part of my just I just want people to see me and to know me and to feel comfortable that they can do business with me and work with me. So this high quality audio and video has been important for me all through the pandemic. So I really appreciate the products. But okay, Tim, this is it. It's just me and you here.
Okay.
Nobody watching this. What's new and cool? What's coming out? You can just tell me about the. What's the top secret stuff in the lab that's coming out soon?
Yeah. Well, there's one thing I wanted to show you with the camera that you're using. Maybe if you can go to that more wider view.
Yep.
We have for Panicast 20, especially for salespeople. If salespeople happen to be watching this video at some point, I think it's really cool. It's something called Picture in Picture. And when I click on Picture in Picture, what happens is basically that my face goes into a little box at the bottom right hand corner, and I can define through Jabra Direct, the software that you showed, a view of anywhere in my field of view. I have a 90 degrees field of view on that camera, so I can pick any view. And what I've done is I picked this kind of grouping of my Legos. Lego and Jabra are both Danish companies, so they kind of go together. But it's all my fancy products that I have that I can show. But I like to put that there because I can also use this to do like a product demo. I can show you the Panicast 20, what it looks like. I can show you the way you connect it to your screen or your laptop. But you can still see my voice, and we can still look at each other. And again, that's something that we're trying to talk about in terms of virtual fatigue. So I'm not gone. You can still see me. You and I can still talk to each other, look each other in the eyes. So that's kind of a cool.
Is one camera doing the picture-in-picture? That's two separate cameras.
One camera with a processor on board. We can split the video feed into two different video feeds. They're two separate video feeds. It's being sent to Teams at the same or to whatever video platform.
Yeah.
Like this is nice because we're not using Teams at the moment. It just shows that the camera can do multiple video feeds in whatever video platform that where we're using, which is quite cool. I'm going to keep it in this vote mode, and I'm going to show you this thing. This is something we just launched at ISE in Barcelona 2 weeks ago. It's called Engage 55. It's basically a headset and dongle combo, and this is what we're calling a decked dongle solution. This is a single connect decked headset, which means it's not Bluetooth. It's on a different frequency, so 1.9 gigahertz frequency. It is different from Bluetooth in a couple of ways. One, it is more secure, so we can have 256-bit encryption. So it's much, much more secure than Bluetooth. And it has a much bigger range, so 490 feet range. So you can walk.
Wow.
This is why I think it's great for hybrid working. I can put this dongle in my laptop, and I can put the headset on, and I can start a Teams call or a Zoom call, whatever, and I can walk outside, as I do, to get the mail, which is down my driveway. I can also pick up my kids from the bus and still be on the call.
Yeah,
and I don't lose.
Oh, field and a half. That's a long ways you can
It's
walk.
a long way. That's field of sight. You don't always get that if you've got a brick wall in between you, but you get much, much more space than you do on a Bluetooth headset. So the headsets are very robust and easy to easy to wear. They're very comfortable to wear, and we do have multiple wearing styles. So you have a mono, duo, and a 3-in-1 convertible. This is a fantastic headset for hybrid working. And so that's kind of the latest, greatest that we've got going on. But of course, I'm really excited as well about working together with Lenovo with a Pancast 50. This is our conference room camera. Connects really well to the ThinkSmart Core, which I have in my other room, and I use a lot for MTR meetings. Just being on the forefront with Lenovo and Microsoft and developing this front row and making these meetings a lot easier to join, a lot more equitable through dynamic composition. I think that's what folks should look at if they're looking to look at Jabra and understand a little bit more around the latest, greatest stuff. It's really around conference video technology together with Microsoft. So either you go on the Microsoft site or the Jabra site, you'll learn a ton about what we're doing there. Of course, talk to any of us as well at Jabra. We'll be happy to talk for hours about that stuff. It's really good. Yeah.
Well, AJ joined. He said hi. Thanks, AJ. One of my best followers has been with me since the beginning. So glad to say hi again. Thanks for joining, AJ. I think that's it, Tim. Any last? I really enjoyed our time together. I thought we covered a lot of really interesting topics. This will be recorded and saved to YouTube and LinkedIn for anybody to watch later. But any final thoughts for us?
I'm sure when I go back and watch this later, I'm like, oh, I should have said that and that and that. There's tons of things I'm sure I'm forgetting right now. But yeah, I guess just one final thought. Jabra does work in 3 distinct different areas. On the enterprise side, which is professionals, what we call professionals headsets. This is tools that help people who work in offices or are working in a hybrid world be better. So headsets, video cameras, speakerphones that are good for personal use. Then we have what we call call-centric. These are headsets and devices that are great for people who are on the phone more than 68 hours a day. So they have a different whole philosophy behind them. They need to be robust and the call quality is very, very good. And then collaboration. So it's around our video technology, conference rooms, etc. So those are the 3 areas we're working in. And we have experts in all 3 areas. So be happy to talk about that anytime with anybody. And then if you really want to go crazy, we also have the Blue Parrot line of products, which is for extreme noise situations, mainly for frontline workers. That's really a growing need in enterprises. I know that there's a lot of frontline workers that do work at companies, and they are becoming more and more important in the hybrid working world. And Jabra just acquired a company right over Christmas last year called SteelSeries, which is a gaming company. And they have an incredible portfolio of products that are great for gamers. Headsets, keyboards, mice, mouse pads, whatever you can think of. Pretty cool stuff. So we're all geeking out here at Jabra on all the SteelSeries products as well. So it's a fun addition to the family.
Well, Tim, I really enjoyed our time together. Thanks for educating us all on the Jabra products and all the good work your company's doing. So I appreciate it, and thanks for joining.
Thanks for inviting me. Take care.